worth 1,000 words. What does that picture tell you? That used to be a church. Man, it's dead, dead, dead. I know 3 deads is worse than 1 dead. Dead, dead, dead. And I love how God just came along with it. But I can imagine Travis, the 13 days of the siege of the Alamo, realizing that it was important to stand, it was important to be there, but at some point he realized that the help that was coming was not going to be enough help. And that's why the last letter that he sent out, victory or death. And we don't know if this actually happened or not. It's a part of the fable, some of the fabled parts of the story of the Alamo, but it is told that there was a day when he gave, not the Texas regulars didn't have a choice. They were part of the Texas Army. But he offered to all the volunteers, including the Tennessee volunteers and the New Orleans Grays, and all those men with the squirrel rifles. He said, gave them a choice. And it's dramatic where he drew a line in the sand. He said, anybody wants to leave, step over the line, and nobody stepped over. But one man did climb over the wall that night. We don't know if that ever happened or not. We do know that there were about 185 defenders the first day of the battle. And you can imagine the sinking hope of Travis as he was upon the wall, realizing that even if help was coming now, it was too late. They were surrounded by a massive army. A massive army of at least 3,000, 3,000 to 5,000. And they were well equipped. And the bombardments started happening, and the attacks happened. And Santa Anna had the black flag or the red flag of the Guayo, and had every night instead of taps they played the Guayo, which was meant everyone will die. Everyone's going to die. It's pretty bad when it says everybody's going to die. And I found myself in recent months feeling like I'm defending the Alamo. And you can imagine Travis on the wall thinking, he had a family that he essentially abandoned to take his commission. And he had the lives of 184 men under his command. And you got to know there were times of self-doubt. Maybe I should have listened. Maybe we should have gathered the cannons and got out of here. But we just know by history, at the Alamo that battle had to happen if Texas was going to be free. And I've had a chance to think about that. And I've grown up in small churches all my life. I've only been a ministry connected with a big church when I was a youth pastor in Grand Prairie for about 5.5 years, Evangel Temple in Grand Prairie. But I've either grown up in or preached in or pastored small churches. It's been my experience. I love small churches. This church here reminds me of growing up. Thing is, these have nice pads on these pews.
We didn't have any.
We had the kind of pews where had the little slat, things, and if you're sitting here and somebody sat down there, you got to hit the high note and I'll fly away because, man, teeth
Amen.
Marks on the song rack, with kids teething on the song rack.
Amen. Yeah.
Can I tell you a quick story?
Yeah.
I discovered as a child, grew up in synagogue churches, Pentecostal churches, that underneath, as a matter of fact, this would be true in this building, underneath every one of these pews is a multiplied myriad different size, shapes, and colors of pre-chewed gum.
Yeah.
I know it's true because as a child I lived under those pews, and here's what I learned. Bubble gum cannot be resurrected.
My God. Yes, sir.
I'm just telling you. But juicy fruit and dentine, you can work them back into some good flavor. And I'll never forget when Mama marched me back to the nursery, and everybody heard every whack Mama gave me in that nursery when she found out where I got that 3-color chewing gum. But there are times when God, here's the thing. God doesn't not necessarily cause you to success. He calls you to a place of obedience. And sometimes it's like defending the Alamo. And the Lord will send a little help, and He'll encourage you. But sometimes it doesn't feel like enough. You feel like you got a ragtag band of people that are looking to you, and you're thinking every night that enemy's going to come through that wall. Every day, next day may be the last day. And you just won't know how lonely it is when you stand on that wall. During the Napoleonic Wars, there was a term, a battle term called the forlorn hope. The forlorn hope was when a besieging army came against a fort or stronghold, and the cannons had breached the wall. There was a hole in the wall. So there was now access into that stronghold. But the forlorn hope was the first company of men that would go in. They called it the forlorn hope because the hope was their acts of bravery would cause the others to follow them in. The forlorn part was those first going in were going to be the targets of the guns and the cannons that were aimed at that hole. The forlorn hope. Many British officers during the Napoleonic Wars, the only way they were able to get field advancement commissions was to lead forlorn hope missions. If they could survive the forlorn hope, they would get a field commission from a captain to a colonel or so forth. It was called the forlorn hope. Sometimes, and a lot of times, it's at night. And that sword you got some rust on it, a few chips in the blade, and your face is dirty from the smoke of the cannons, dust that's been kicked up. And maybe there's a bandage and you're bleeding a little bit, and you stand on that wall and you're thinking, you know, God, have you called me to a forlorn hope? Am I defending the Alamo? Or ultimately the wall's going to fall? And all under my care are going to be put to the sword. And how will history record my actions?
Come on, sir.
How will others look at me? And I'll tell you, I've been there. And sometimes I find myself still on the wall. But I was raised in a military family. I didn't join the military after 18 years. My father being in the Air Force, I felt that I'd served the country for 18 years. My brother joined the Marines. My sister's daughter served as an Army MP in Baghdad and was injured. I joined the Lord's service. And I have